Okay, my lovely friends, here we go. It is Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. It is Fed Day, and it's going to be a freak show of freaking epic proportions today. To me, honestly, this is the ultimate freak show. When you got the Fed chair, Jerome Powell Yellowstone, out there trying to sketch out whatever he wants to convince people of, and then you got the dog shit Q&A session right after with all the scripted questions. It really makes me want to freaking throw up. I'm being honest here. The kickoff today for the Fed decision is going to be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I can promise you I'll be watching it. I will have to, unfortunately, listen to every vomitous word that comes out of its mouth. And it really makes me sick. I'm not lying here. This is world control, and central banks collectively are destroying the world and an entire class of people with it. And when are people going to wake up to this? When are people going to finally take action? They won't. They're just going to sit back and, just take whatever they get. It's an unfortunate situation, but that's the way it's going to go. But we already understand what's going to happen here. I would be shocked if it turns out, other than how I've been outlining this for all of you, we're going to get a 50 basis point hike today. And more than that, he's going to set the groundwork for where we are going. Now, understand the game. The game is very simple. Right now, we are at the end of the year. This is the time of year where a Santa Claus rally is expected. The Santa Claus rally generally starts in the second half of the month of December, which we're just about there right now. And this is how the fat cats at these corporations get their multi-million-dollar year-end bonuses. It's all based off of year-end share price. So Yellowstone Powell understands that. He will, in my view, make sure, or at least try to make sure, that the fat cats, the CEOs, the management at these corporations do get their huge bonuses. So he's going to do whatever he can to try to prop up the market today. That's just my take on it. We'll see. In the event here, and this is going out there, people, that Greg Mannarino is wrong, that we get a larger than a 50 basis point hike, the market's going to hate it big time, and we'll address that issue. But let me say this too. If today, I'm just going to throw this out here, and I'm not telling anybody what to do, okay? I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. I've kept some powder dry here. If, in fact, after the Q&A session, because that's really when this market's going to move, we get a dip here in the market, I will be buying here, okay? I believe the ground is being set. We heard from the European Central Bank this morning. I want you to pay attention to this. So the European Central Bank is admitting here that inflation will run higher than expected for at least 2 years. Meanwhile, out of the other side of their mouth, they're also saying they're expecting to be easing back on their aggressive stance with regard to raising rates. So how does that kind of jive? Well, it's a joke, because you and I have known since day one that this whole thing is a farce of freaking epic proportions here. Oh, we're going to raise rates. It's going to help inflation. How about it hasn't helped a damn thing? Inflation continues to rise, although it's missing the targets of the rocket scientist economists out here. Now, so, I mean, it's unbelievable, the stuff that we hear. But this is the way it's going here. Inflation is going to continue to rise. People count on it. It's not going to stop. And you just wait until energy starts to play. And it's going to, in my view. They're going to make sure energy stays propped up. Period. So there's another little tidbit of information we need to follow here. But we have these central banks here, all of them, who are fully aware of what's going on. Inflation continues to rise. As a matter of fact, this morning, we found out that import inflation continues to rise as well, but it also missed the mark. So the market's going to be waiting to hear what comes out of its mouth later. Look, nothing matters in this environment. Earnings, PE ratios, forward guidance, it's all dog shit. The only thing that matters is what central banks are going to do to prop up the market. You all know that. The market has become addicted to easy money, and the easy money is not going to stop for several reasons. It's a Ponzi. It's the biggest Ponzi in the history of the world. How the financial system works, that it must continually and relentlessly, every nanosecond of every freaking day, be inflated upon by central banks whose goal is to continue to inflate. That's the end game goal. The power of every central bank on the planet resides in one thing, and that is their ability to inflate. And they must continue to inflate. You'll never hear this anywhere on a mainstream financial channels. You all know that. They can't allow you to know that the reason why we don't have a budget here in the United States is because we can't. We can't adhere to any particular set of rules with regard to preventing central banks from inflating endlessly. That's how the system functions. It must continually, exponentially continue to inflate. Otherwise, this whole thing just melts down. It's a Ponzi in the highest order. Okay, there's no other way to put it here. And it's just astonishing to me. Think about it. All of us here work for something that we don't even own. These are IOUs, people. Those bills that are in your pocket or supposedly sitting in your bank account, which aren't there anyway because of the fractional reserve system. We work for these bills, okay, that are dispersed to us all via central banks, and they own them. They own every single one of those bills. They own the entire financial system, and we owe those bills back to the issuing central bank, plus interest that they create magically out of thin air. Imagine such a twisted system, but that's exactly what we have today. And today, we get to hear from the ruling body of the world, and that is the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is, in fact, the government of governments, because the U.S. dollar remains the world reserve currency. And until that changes, the system is going to remain as twisted as it is. And nothing's going to stop this except for possibly a global nuclear war or something along those lines. Now, speaking about war, so Ukraine, which is we've already been sending tens and hundreds of billions of dollars over there. The Ukraine, or Ukraine, for those of you who get offended when I say the Ukraine, okay, Ukraine is requesting billions of dollars in more U.S. aid, including billions of dollars in more weaponry. Now, this mechanism here, you know what this is really about. War generates more income for the military-industrial complex, and the expansion of wars, the financing of wars, than any other endeavor on the planet Earth. So this is why the United States has been literally in a perpetual state of war since time immemorial here. So that's the Ukraine is going to continue to get hundreds of billions, and it's going to end up being in the trillions of dollars, courtesy of you. Did you vote for this? I didn't vote for it. In aid, in weaponry, moving forward, just to keep pulling cash into the now. And let me ask you, do you think that this is not massively inflationary? Every single government project that comes along, whatever they want to finance, whatever they got to conjure up out of thin air to throw cash at, warp speed vaccines are an example here. The expansion of wars are another example. And they're going to use fear, as they always do, to sell this to an unsuspecting public. Is how it always works. You understand? Anyway, and you know what's a joke to me? If you're watching another joke, any of the mainstream propaganda ministries, they're out there praising this CPI number, this inflation number yesterday. I mean, it's insane to me. Inflation continues to rise, although at a slower pace. They're making this seem like it's the second coming of the Messiah or something like that here. It's unbelievable to me. Meanwhile, these numbers don't have any bearing on reality. I think you all know that. They just conjure these things up in whatever form they want the people to be sold. They're not real. None of the data is real today at all. The entire market is managed. The way they try to manage the the minds of men and women is also, again, part of the propaganda that is broadcasted to everyone via the television, the programs. Why do you think it's called programs? They're programming you. It's unbelievable here, people. So anyway, another piece of economic information that we got here. Existing home sales continue to fall. Let me allow this guy to let you in on another secret here. This trend here is going to continue. We are turning into a slave nation of renters here. People can't afford anything anymore. What are they doing? They continue to borrow. And that is astonishing to me as well. In some ways, because you and I realized this would happen, how former members of the middle class would continue to try to maintain that illusion. And they're going to borrow and borrow and borrow to continue to do it, assuring themselves a seat on the train to obscurity here, into slavery and dependency on the system that has been set up for them. This is so twisted, people. It is so sick what we're witnessing now. We've never seen anything like this before at all. Anyway, let me just make sure I covered what I wanted to. The big thing today is the Federal Reserve. Let's see what they do today. Now, on the back of that, this morning, stock futures are relatively flat. Crude oil catching a bid. Bitcoin's still sitting around 18,000. Gold and silver relatively flat. Some nice gains lately here. Relative strength of the dollar is lower. You want to keep your eyes on one thing today? I'm going to tell you what it is. It should be the MMRI, Mannarino Market Risk Indicator. Again, free to you, free to me, free to everyone else in this world who wants to look at it. Link in the description of this video. While it is speaking today, I'm referring to Fed Chair Powell. Keep your eyes on the MMRI. Let's see if risk goes up or risk goes down. If, in fact, it is successful today in trying to convince the market that the Fed still has the back of the market, you will see the MMRI drop. Right now, today, this morning, I just looked at it, the MMRI is 227. I, myself, couldn't be more curious to see what happens with the MMRI. Is it going to drop or is it going to rise? And I believe sincerely, if in fact it's played correctly by the Federal Reserve today, you're going to see the MMRI drop. And the market is going to get off on that. It's going to spray its shorts all over the place. So that's how I'm going to play this today, people. If in fact we get a dip in the market after it opens its pie hole, Greg Mannarino is going to get in here and start buying more. That's the way I'm playing it moving forward. You do what you want. I'm not telling anybody what to do, okay? You know the story behind that. This guy here loves you a lot. Please let me know what you think of this video. Thumbs up is always appreciated from all of you. And I will see you later. And we'll sum up this entire freaking thing later. All right, I'm out of here.